All right, joining us right now is Nicki Jhabvala. Did I get that right?
Close enough.
Jhabvala.
Yes.
Jhabvala. I always screw up. I'm going to start over, okay?
I told you I responded.
Welcoming us right now is Nicki Jhabvala. She is the sports digital editor for the Denver Post, and you wrote a couple of articles this week about two great former Denver pro basketball players, Spencer Haywood and Dikembe Mutombo, and coincidentally, ironically, whatever you want to say about it, they both were elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame today. So you're a good luck charm, Nicki.
I don't know about all that, but it was good to see them get in. I just talked to Spencer Haywood, and I think he's still in a bit of shock after getting in. He had waited so long.
Yeah.
And for so many years, he kind of felt like he wasn't accepted by the NBA, the NCAA, today's players, the Nuggets, whoever.
Probably worried people had forgotten about him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he, for a long time, felt that his game had been forgotten. You know, he had that landmark court case. He had the rough ending to his career with the drug use. So this is kind of his moment of validation, to speak.
One of the few people that actually saw him play in the ABA, and it was, when you said landmark decision, it was because the NBA would not take underclassmen. It's hard to believe today that won't happen, but at that point, and so his only way, he went the route of the ABA, which would have taken guys off the street, if you will, and did in a lot of cases. And I do think that a lot of the accomplishments in his career, when he did play 1 year at the University of Detroit, if I remember correctly, is that right?
He played a year at JUCO, and then he went to Detroit.
And he broke a barrier that's certainly not like Jackie Robinson. He broke a barrier, though, of where the NBA would not allow underclass players. Because I was thinking about Will Chamberlain. Will Chamberlain didn't play his full 4 years at Kansas, but he went off to the Harlem Globetrotters for a while. But I think that another aspect, though, was if you found this out in research, that the kind of the way that he bolted from the old Denver Rockets after just a short period of time, and that kind of put him in another spot that there's always seemed to be sort of a cloud of different types hanging over Spencer Haywood's head.
He was a controversial figure from start to finish. You know, he, as I kind of wrote in my piece last week, he kind of entered the league as a firebrand and he left as a drug user. I mean, and that's, people remember the start and the ending. They don't really remember what he did on the court, which was remarkable. He had a 30-19 season with the Rockets. I mean, only two other players have had that.
Yeah, there were so many things about his career that overshadowed the spectacular play on the court. And he played here before I got here. And growing up in Chicago, we didn't follow the ABA. Hell, we hardly even followed the Chicago Bulls before Michael Jordan came along, seriously. But who would you compare him to? And through your research, who would you compare him to that has played the game in the last, say, 20 years? How good was this guy?
Well, I'm going to go back a little bit, but he was a shooter like Bob McAdoo, and I think if people realized a big man who had
shoot the jumper,
great jump shot, and he was a guy who also had great strength inside. I mean, he was almost a combination of a small forward and a power forward, if that is fair. He could play the three positions. He could play small forward, he could play power forward. They didn't designate them that way, and then he was a center through most of his career, but he was a guy who could play out on the floor. I found him to be interesting to talk to. I think he carried a chip, would it be fair to say he carried a chip on his shoulder, though, most of his career, and it was tough to break that veneer to get in to see and find out about Spencer Haywood. It's only now that I think he's opening up about a lot of those things that he did with you.
Did you get the impression that Chip will go away now that he's in the Hall of Fame?
I think getting into the Hall was the thing he wanted. You know, he had told me in the interviews leading up to the long form thing I did, he said he's learning to let it all go, but it was very clear that, you know, and until he's in the Hall, he was not going to be satisfied.